But now let's turn to tonight's breaking news. Sussan Ley has dumped Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price from Shadow Cabinet. This after Jacinta refused to apologise for remarks that offended the Indian community. And then today, she declined to endorse the opposition leader.
Leadership, do you have confidence in her leadership?
Look, again, those matters are for our party room.
Do you have full confidence in her leadership?
Those matters are for our party room.
Sussan Ley felt she was left with no option but to ask Jacinta to step down when she wouldn't endorse her leadership. It's my understanding that Ley sought the view of many in the Liberal Party and they agreed that Price continuing in Shadow Cabinet was untenable. Dave Sharma said as much publicly on Chris Kenny's show earlier this evening. He said if Jacinta Price wasn't happy, she should step down from Shadow Cabinet. So around 90 minutes ago, Sussan Ley made this announcement.
Senator Jacinta Nampijinpa-Price has failed a test of high standard that I have set for members of my shadow ministry. Confidence in the leader is a requirement for serving in the shadow ministry. A couple of hours ago, I spoke to the senator and I advised her of my decision.
Let's bring in our Wednesday panel now. Former Victorian Liberal Party President Michael Kroger and Labor legend Graham Richardson. Always love having you both on the show. Michael, do you think Sussan was right to dump Jacinta Price?
Well, Sharri, she had absolutely no choice. What was Jacinta thinking? I mean, 3 times we all love Jacinta Price, but if you're asked 3 times publicly whether you support the leader and you won't say yes, of course you have to be axed from the shadow ministry. I mean, I don't know what she was thinking. I mean, that's politics 101. When, you know, I remember in 1974 when Tony Staley, Richard will remember this, Tony Staley was Bill Snedden's parliamentary secretary. He didn't have confidence in Snedden, he resigned. Now, it's slightly different because he wasn't asked publicly. But if you don't have confidence in your leader, you are free to resign from the shadow cabinet. But if you're asked publicly whether you support the leader, what else was Sussan Ley to do? Sussan Ley was absolutely correct. I'm sorry to say this to Jacinta, but you have to support the leader. I mean, Plebiscite, everyone knows Tanya Plebiscite absolutely loathes Albanese. But if she's asked publicly, of course she supports the leader. This is a team business. You know, even though you're a star winger, you can't kick the ball in any direction you like. You've actually got to kick it towards your goals. So Jacinta did the wrong thing today, and of course it was a sacking offence. And Sussan Ley was 100% correct. She had no choice. And, you know, I think the Liberal Party Australia-wide probably needs a bit more discipline, and Sussan Ley has led the way in pointing that out to people today.
In a sense, Jacinta's answer at that press conference was a challenge to Sussan Ley. If Sussan Ley wouldn't have acted and asked her to leave Shadow Cabinet, then her authority would have been diminished. What do you think about that, Richo?
No, I think that's right. I think her authority would definitely have been diminished. I don't think she had too many choices about what she was about to do, and I don't think what she did surprised any of us.
And this all could have been handled differently. Jacinta could still be serving in Shadow Cabinet, Richo.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It could have been handled differently, but it wasn't. And you have to deal with what's in front of you, not with what you wish was in front of you.
What's the most depressing thing about this whole saga is that the focus is on internal disunity in the Liberal Party instead of the focus being on the terrible Albanese government. And it's only going to get worse over the next few days. Tonight, Holly Hughes launched a spray at Jacinta. This is Holly speaking to James McPherson. Have a look.
But if you want to be part of the shadow ministerial team, you need to make sure that you're able to demonstrate unity, discipline and respect. And unfortunately, that is not what we've seen over the past couple of days. Jacinta could have apologised for those comments and everyone could have moved on. Like you and so many of our viewers, we want to see an opposition that takes it up to the Labor Party.
Michael, we've also seen from a couple of different people on air this evening, including Rowan Dean, that Sussan Ley's leadership it's just a matter of time. I think the words he might have used is that it's the beginning of the end for Sussan Ley's leadership. Do you agree with this, or do you think she's now cemented her authority, seeing as she's taken this action?
I think it's the latter. I mean, if leaders don't exercise the authority that they got, they'll lose it. And she exercised that authority tonight. You know, let's be very frank about this, Sharri. Jacinta Price is immensely popular in the party branches, but that same popularity will translate into people saying that Sussan Ley did the right thing tonight. For every person that loves Jacinta as I do, I say, and I'm sure most party members would say, that Sussan Ley had absolutely no option. So I actually think her authority is enhanced. It's unfortunate that circumstances that have come about, but she's exercised the authority that any leader would. I mean, no leader can accept a shadow cabinet colleague who says it's a matter for the party room. We know that. But the form of words is, well, it's a well-travelled path. So I don't agree with Rowan. I think it's probably made Sussan Ley stronger because it makes it clear to people that she's not prepared to put up with stuff. I mean, you know, I've seen a lot of leaders overestimated in the past and a lot underestimated. I think people are underestimating Sussan Ley. I just have that feeling that if you look at her history, her career, what she's done in her life, this woman's got dirt under the fingernails. And I'll tell you what, in public life, dirt under the fingernails carries you a long, long way, as it did for people like Howard, whose father ran a petrol station, as it did for Bob Hawke, as it did for Paul Keating, that never went to university, etc., etc.
And Howard said the same thing when he was on the show here on Monday night. He said she needs to be given a chance. He said that he believes she has talent.